Hi, mystery writers. Welcome to the Mystery Writer Studio. We look at different aspects of writing a mystery and the challenges we face as writers. And today I wanted to talk about character change and story dynamics and do a little overview of character change. But then I wanted to talk particularly about how that works for mystery writers. So, our narrative in our story captures the reader's attention, and we want to keep that reader's attention. And we do that with change, with obstacles, and all the ways our character leads the reader through solving the mystery puzzle. And our reader cares about solving the puzzle because they care about the character. So, what your character encounters and how they react and the decisions they make and the consequences of those decisions are all important in telling your story, and they are based on your character. Um, and the changes that they have are sometimes subtle, other times very dramatic. And, but what they do and how they serve your narrative is to add layers to the story, and make it moving and engaging and even intriguing for your readers. And those changes breathe life into your characters. And when we talk about a scene, we know that at the beginning of the scene, the character starts out with one goal in mind, and by the end of that scene, they've either achieved their goal or not achieved their goal. And at some point during that scene, a change takes place. And that change is what moves the reader to want to read the next chapter, right? So change is really important to us. A character change is really important to us as writers. It affects the dynamic shift, uh, and bolsters the suspense of your story. So first, let's look at what is the essence of character change. It it refers to the transformation or development a character undergoes, uh, from the beginning to the end of a story, but it also, that's the big picture, but also don't forget that little picture, which is going to give you the power and the dynamics to create intriguing scenes. And the change can be psychological, it can be moral, it can be emotional, it can even be physical. And it mirrors the challenges and conflicts and resolutions that they encounter in your story. The character starts at a specific point, encounters a series of events, and these events trigger changes in them, making them a different person by the end of the story. In a mystery, the character change can be, how can I say this? In the mystery, the character change can be, uh, the detective or even a witness, or the victim, as we look at the victim's backstory. So a detective might start out as a skeptic about something, and say they're ending up in dog show world, for I'm just picking that out of the air, but and they're like, oh my god, dog show and all these dogs all fancied up, and the egos of the people who were showing the dogs, and they may change their opinion of dog shows after they've gone through this experience. I'm just using that as an example out of the air. Um, but the character change is a great dynamic to use in your story. So let's look at character change in the mystery per se. First of all, character change can reveal hidden traits and motives in characters. And this is especially important because we have all those suspects out there that your detective needs to interact with. Um, and, and character change can reveal hidden traits or motives, and those add depth to those characters and twists to your story all at the same time. As a character changes, their true nature or hidden motives may surface, which can either help solve the mystery or make it more complex. So you get to play with these ideas when you're writing your story, and the unveiling process keeps readers on their toes because what they thought this person was like is really not what their first impression was. Um, and so now all of a sudden they want to learn more about this character. And of course, changes drive the plot. So character change um, can direct the narrative of your story, and as your character evolves, they may make decisions and take actions that impact the story's progression. And for instance, a character in a detective's belief or approach, a change in the detective's belief or approach, may lead to new clues or shifts in the investigation, and that propels the story forward. I'm sorry, I just finished a session with my live office hours for people who are in the Write a Killer Mystery program, and we talked about some of these things, but in a different way. And I'm feeling like I'm repeating myself. Sorry. So another way that is really important for us as writers is character change builds suspense and intrigue, because the way that that character was received is it can, when there's a change, it contributes significantly to the suspense of the story. And as characters change, readers are left wondering why they've changed, or how that change will affect the mystery's resolution. This anticipation keeps readers engaged and those pages turning. And also, character change is an important part of the catharsis and resolution. The big changes to characters that they undergo during your story come out and make them a different person at the end of the story. The detective's epiphany, the criminal's remorse or not, the victim's acceptance, all of these things can provide um, resolution for your story. So mainly what character changes do is they create challenges. And that's what we want. We've got this great big huge middle that we need to fill up with problems and obstacles for your detective to overcome in the story. And changes can uh, induce conflict. And so as the story progresses, we want bigger and bigger conflicts, which raises the tension. And so change is really important. And the way that we craft the change in this story has an impact on how that story affects our readers, which is the bottom line of why people like our stories. All right. The moment your character changes is the moment your reader is right there with the character. So that gives them another reason to care about your character, especially your detective, and wondering how they are going to solve this case. Each scene has some small change, and this is very important for us in creating that intrigue to get people to read the next scene after the scene we just wrote. And So when your character changes, your reader cares. This scene by scene change is the crux of getting your reader to turn the pages. I can't stress that enough, and I know when I've talked about scene writing, we talk a lot about change from the beginning of the scene to the end of the scene. And it doesn't seem like a great big huge character change, but it is a very important character change to keep your reader going in your story. Um, Readers tune into those changes, and as your character evolves in the story, your reader is right there with them when they understand the changes and why those changes have occurred. And your reader knows your character and sympathizes with the situation and the changes that your character undergoes. But wait, something very important for mystery writers, and that is in many mysteries, especially traditional mysteries, characters don't change. They don't have a great big, huge uh, resolution or change in their character from the beginning of the story to the end of the story. So think especially of series characters like Miss Marple. She doesn't undergo great emotional changes in the story. So all the changes that happen scene by scene. So it's totally okay for you as a mystery writer to not have this great big huge emotional resolution that happens for your main character. There's a genre, I don't know what it's called, but I call it chick crime, with female characters who do go through great emotional change and resolution in their story. But for traditional mysteries, it's not a requirement. Your traditional mystery readers don't expect your reader to come to some giant emotional epiphany about themselves in the story. I just wanted to make that clear. Um, so the changes that happen in the story are the way that your detective perceives things, and these are changes, and these are revelations, and they lead your character to make new decisions, and because they make decisions, they lead to new consequences in your story. So changes are happening in your story. It's not just a great big huge character arc change. All right. Um, So I think that's essentially what I wanted to say about that is this character change and the dynamic of your story is you can use change however you want to, but you do need change in your story. It's just that it's not required in a mystery to have a big character arc. Um, you can call it change, you can call it transformation. Uh, And I think for many mystery writers, what happens is that your character impacts the world around them and changes that world. And it's still movement and dynamism. It's just not what um, is called in writing a character arc. But those changes in the world around them still build story tension and keep readers turning pages. Okay, I want to thank you for being here. I hope that helps you think about your characters and think about creating the changes in your story. As always, if you have any questions, please put them in the comments. I'm happy to answer questions. Mystery writing is a very specific genre, and mystery readers have expectations. You get to push the envelope, but not too far. All right, thank you for being here, and I'll see you next week.